MGM Grand here on the Vegas Strip in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada for our main event of the evening.
What is going on, boxing fans and gamers? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Fight Night's Finest, the Sophist commentator, coming at you with yet another Fight Night Champion video. Do me a favor before we get into anything about today's topic, as you guys see the title. Do me a favor, like the video, and of course, if anything during the commentary interests you, leave your thoughts in the comment section about it, because I love to hear from you guys. And also, I don't know what you're thinking if you don't share. Anyway, YouTube law aside, I had a comment that came up about using a unconventional style fighter in OWC. And while we're going to talk about the gameplay at some point, I really want to highlight why it is you shouldn't be using subpar styles in OWC. A lot of new players, right? You see the different options that come up in OWC, whether it's unconventional, conventional, maybe you see yourself as a counterpuncher or a brawler. Whatever the case may be, you have to understand there's two classes that really dominate in OWC. That is inside fighter and brawler, right? So while you may have the desire to use a unconventional style fighter, and you may look at a head-to-head fighter that has that style like Sugar Ray Robinson, and then you want to emulate that for your OWC character. The reason why, even though you may fight with an unconventional style, why you should not pick the unconventional style, and I know it seems like a double negative of why would I not pick the style that I actually fight. Well, you got to understand how the scoring system works on this game, and then a very good way to even think about or consider this is looking at the meta of what fighters are used most often. The reason this is a head-to-head match that I'm utilizing the same exact thing is because if you take a look at which fighters are picked in head-to-head, like let's just brainstorm, right? Heavyweight, you're gonna run into Mike Tyson, you're gonna run into Isaac Frost, you're gonna run into Rocky Marciano, and you will run into somebody's like not extremely good but not extremely terrible, Andre Bishop, right? Those will be the four fighters that you run into the most when you play head-to-head. Now, if you take a look at their fighter stats, then it's very clear as to why it is you run into these fighters. Their strength, besides Bishop, who makes up for it with his punch stats, because everything is like damn near on a 20 in terms of headshots, he can make up for the lack of damage that he has from actual power with stats. Now, what if you have both, like you do in OWC when you take a look at the skill tree? Well, the reason why when you have the skill tree pop up, you can get a 20 left hook, a 20 straight, and a 20 right uppercut, right? And then you put 20 blocking, maybe you have a 20 chin. This is just as brainstorming, and like 20 and combination speed so that the punches come out as quick as they possibly can. When you utilize that stat, right, that means you have, if you take an inside fighter, I believe you get 98 strength or 99 strength or maybe even 100. I don't remember the exact number of gold attributes, so don't quote me on that, but it's damn near high 90. It's gonna be plus 97 at least with inside fighter or brawler. Plus you have the 20 punches, right? Off of that strength alone, take a unconventional style fighter who I believe has like 85 strength and then plus 6 for a gold attribute. You're gonna have like 91 power. So you have to make a 9-point difference, a 9-point difference for every punch that's thrown. So let's say you need 2 punches to equalize 1 punch, right? And if you're fighting somebody in OWC who has a very defensive style, because think about it, everybody's gonna either run Philly shell, they're gonna run cross block, and they're gonna have very high defensive ratings, plus auto block is already overpowered as it is, and you got somebody playing a defensive counter style with max reach and height. you have to work twice as hard, sometimes even 3 times as hard, depending on the build. Especially if you take something like Outside Fighter. Sure, you may have the extra speed and stuff, but do I really need extra speed when I can hit you really fucking hard and just be accurate and then not throw a lot of punches, run around the ring, and then create opportunities when you try to get it back in blood? I don't have to work as hard as you. The simple fact that you do not have to work as hard as your opponent is the main reason you do not want to pick a subpar build. Because that subpar build, if you take 2 fighters with the same skill level, or let's say for an example this, so that it really can drive home the point. If you take 2 fighters of equal skill, right, and you give one a sharp sword and then you give one a dull rusted sword, the one with the better weapon wins. That's when it becomes the difference maker. It's simply the stats. If you think of a lot of combat sport games, why do you think it is that the top fighters always dominate the division, and then fighters who have less stats always seem to struggle? For an example, take UFC, right? Conor McGregor is always good because Conor McGregor always has good power stats, and he always has good stats in general, right? Or take John Jones. He's always going to dominate like the light heavyweight division because he's John fucking Jones and his stats are ridiculous. Now take this game, right? Isaac Frost is going to beat out the entire roster, unless if you pick Isaac Frost yourself. If you have, let's say you and another opponent are equally skilled, if he has Isaac Frost and you have Lennox Lewis, you're going to sleep. I don't care how skilled you are as a player. So you can't make up the stat difference, and because you cannot make up that stat difference, that's where you're going to really run into trouble in your matchups. So by picking the subpar build, what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a submission hole. Because while you may have an unconventional style, this game does not force you to play an unconventional type of style. Unconventional style does what? Besides change the stats? Literally nothing. I could take Mike Tyson and play as an outside fighter even though he's meant to be on the inside and brawling. That's what Mike Tyson is, but I don't have to fight that way. The same way with Bernard Hopkins, right? He's a crafty he's a crafty type of fighter who can pretty much be all around. He's normally on the inside, right? But he can box. So we've seen that in the Felix Trinidad fight, right? So B-Hop is always going to be technically solid, but there's nothing that stops me from either being on the outside or switching styles, as you guys already seen multiple times throughout this fight. Sometimes I'm on the inside trading. Sometimes I'm on the outside just being a boxer like I am now. You can fight different styles within the match. You can fight from mid-range, you can fight on the inside, you can be a counterpuncher. You can choose to be whatever you need to be in the match. For an example, what a boxing game should do, if they really want to make things diverse in terms of the style, is give each style a unique animation set. So unconventional type of style, right? When I think of unconventional, I think of like a fighter that may be like extremely athletic and he's able to break the rules. So like a Roy Jones Jr., right? You see Roy Jones Jr. doing like little kangaroo punching, as he used to call it. He's hopping all over the place. He can put his hands down. He can put his hands behind his back and counter. That's unconventional, right? And then you take a fighter with like maybe like a more upright kind of style, more textbook type of style, like I don't know, like Victor Postol, right? Two different types of fighters. If you noticed, just thinking about it from a boxing perspective, they're gonna move and act very different. But in the game, because most of these companies are just lazy most of the time, there's nothing that forces you. There's no change in animation. There's no change in the footwork between these two fighters besides the speed. So because that is the main difference, is the stats, the main thing is not to worry about what the game says, but you have to look at it for what it does. Context is more important than what is being conveyed to you on the screen. You have to really understand these things, especially as a new player, or even as a player who may have been playing for a long time, but you have not been questioning the real purpose behind each thing, right? For example, let's debunk another myth that you're gonna see or encountered a lot when you are creating a fighter in OWC. People really think AI tendencies, mind you, it's in the name, AI tendencies. People really believe AI tendencies affect things in the fight. It's, if you're playing against the computer, yes, it will do that, but it's an AI tendency. It doesn't really change anything. I remember one of the first things that I was told is like, when you're hurt, switch the AI tendency to be fight back. That's not going to change the fact that as a player, I have the choice and the option to decide whether I want to fight back or not. And what is it that 90% of people are going to do when it comes to being hurt in this game? I did it earlier. Shit, I covered up. Even though it was a minor stun, you're more likely to block before you are to respond, because there is no incentive to throwing back when you are hurt, unless if you just know, unless if it's a very specified situation. So with that knowledge in mind, the adaptation that you guys need to make is to not think so much about what it is that you want to do and how you decide that you want to play the game, but you need to think about what it is that the game actually allows you to do, and how that affects you as a player. So it's the same reason why if you're playing a serious ranked match, right, or if you want to have like a good record, yes, you can play with variety, but playing with that variety comes with a price. You may really like Eddie Chambers on this game. You may like his animations. You may like how he feels. But the chances of you going 100-0 playing Eddie Chambers heavyweight, when the meta is Mike Tyson, Isaac Frost, Andre Bishop, and Rocky Marciano, you're asking to lose, buddy. It's just how it goes. You cannot... You can, but suffer the consequences. But it's not a wise idea for you to put yourself in this submission mode, as I was saying earlier, by picking subpar stats. Just don't do it. It's very important to always, even in head-to-head, right? You want to pick a viable matchup. What is a viable matchup? Something that gives you a fighting chance. For an example, if somebody picks Sugar Ray Robinson, I'm going to pick Andre Bishop. And then you just play the matchup accordingly. This is why you see one of the popular ones is Oscar De La Hoya versus Sugar Ray Leonard. Right? That's a classic matchup on here. Mike Tyson versus Rocky Marciano. A competent player is going to understand that even if the matchup is boring or you're tired of picking the same fighters, if you want to be competitive, then you have to pick. You don't have to, but if you want to be competitive, you cannot outskill everybody on this game. You just can't. And if you think you can, your ego is huge, and it's still good luck to you, because you can't outskill everybody. It's not possible. I've been playing this game for 13 years, and I'll be the first to tell you, you cannot outskill everybody. So I hope that answers the question as to why it is you can pick an unconventional fighter, but just know, or an outside fighter, or a boxer puncher, anything that's not inside fighter or brawler, you're begging to lose in OWC. You're begging. It's already bad enough that some people are going to start spamming you in situations where they start losing. So you already have to deal with the game mechanics, fighting against the game mechanics. You have to deal with that. You have to deal with the cheesy playstyles. And you already have to combat being a new player trying to get experience, or a player who wants to improve. You have to combat against yourself first, because you're always your biggest enemy within the game. And then you have to battle against the game mechanics, and then you have to battle against your opponent's strategy. Think about that. And then you're basically going to war, and you're not having the proper gear, and then you're trying to win a war. If somebody's walking around with a tank or driving a tank, and you got a fucking slingshot like you're David thinking you're gonna slay Goliath, I'm sorry, brother, it's not gonna happen. That tank is doing no damage. That rock is doing no damage to the tank. When you pick a subpar build, that is essentially what you're doing. You taking that slingshot, thinking you're gonna fuck up a tank. Stop doing that. So I hope that really conveyed the message, and if it doesn't, I don't know what else to say. Anyway, if it helped you, leave your thoughts in the comment section. I'd love to hear if it did. But moving on to the match, right? We've had some incredible knockdowns, especially that last one with the left hook that ended up sending him almost to the shadow realm. And as we go into round 7 here, it's just always my idea to box first. We're utilizing that jab, utilizing lateral movement, not always standing directly in the face of our opponent. But one thing I really like about playing Bernard Hopkins in this game is I always used to believe like he was bad when it came to taking body shots. But I remember facing he was a competitive player who used to love playing B-Hop. The name was Brahmi or Brahmstar, as some of you guys may know. And it was definitely like, I would say he was the best Bernard Hopkins player on Fight Night Champion. So I love the fact that B-Hop just had such a diversity to his style. And ever since I've seen how well Brahmi can play with him, it always inspired me to, want to do a match for you guys. Because I don't think I really have too many videos of me playing with Bernard Hopkins. And he's one of my favorite fighters too. I admired how well and how crafty he was on the inside, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of this video. So I try to really make sure I utilize and showcase that diverse attack, just utilizing every punch as possible, choosing to fight different types of styles, whether it be on the inside, sometimes from mid-range, sometimes on the outside, like just really trying to find different spots where I can just show a real diverse attack. And I think round 7 really showed that as I was starting to get into my combination bag. You seen overhands come out, you seen bolos come out, like we got just different type of punches for different types of ranges. And then it's definitely reflecting on the scorecard, because right now we are up 70 points to 59 going into round number 8. And me seeing that was like, okay, we got a bunch of stamina. We already got this fight sealed. We put this guy down multiple times. Let's really let the bag go and then start trying to throw some big power shots, as you can already see here. Some of them are with it, but hey, it's okay to whiff a couple of shots because you can't take the stamina with you when you leave the ring. So jab followed by the power right up comes out. Try to throw double power hooks upstairs, and while we are forcing the issue a little bit, the main point is to convey that we are trying to put the hurt on this man. And speaking of putting the hurt on this man, look at the left uppercut followed by the straight, get right behind the ear, and right behind the ear means the equilibrium is off, and that's why you see his head fall all the way back and snap back against the canvas. And that is going to be what I believe to be the final knockdown of this fight. Do me a favor, right? See how the way he fell? I need I need you to fall into the comments and leave your thoughts. And I also need you guys to like the video if you haven't liked the video. And once again, if the topic of the video helps you in any way, please let me know in the comment section as well. Like I said, I love hearing from you guys. Anyway, it's been your boy Fighting His Finest, the Sophist commentator. And guess what? I'm off this. Peace.
So here we are, late in the fight, just coasting along, and then that happens.
And that's exactly why it happened, because he was coasting along. Everybody was comfortable. Everybody thought nothing big's going to happen. We're going to wrap it up. And that's when something like this does happen.
For Teddy Atlas, I'm Joe Tessitore. That does it ringside. We'll see you next time at the fights.